Yesterday morning, the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra announced changes to their upcoming season, 2020-2021. WSO Recomposed turns the spotlight on the players that make up the orchestra itself. To learn more about those changes, we've reached WSO Associate Conductor Julian Pellicano. Hello, Julian.
Hello, Simon. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
And it's great to have you. So before we get to the new season, can you tell us just a little bit about the past few months and what it's been like for you and for the WSO?
Well, it's been interesting in many ways. It's been difficult, that's for sure. But personally, for me personally, it's been a time to really sit down and think carefully. Well, there's been plenty of time for that with no concerts going on and a lot of musical and maybe dare I say, philosophical exploration on my part and artistic explorations, which has been really interesting because there's usually there's so many concerts going on that there's not a lot of time for that. But I have to say, on the other hand, as far as the WSO is concerned, I've been lucky to be part of such a positive and optimistic team of people working together to make things happen. And we've been over the past couple of months working on digital projects, and I've been working on our recital series and different videos that have come out from the WSO and trying to connect with our patrons in any means that we possibly can during this unusual time. So, and people are on board at the WSO and they want to do things, and that's been really, really great to be a part of.
For me, as a spectator, it's just encouraging to see so many organizations connecting in new ways. I mean, we've seen Maestro cooking in his kitchen in Amsterdam. There's just been so many great ways to keep connected. But that being said, we've also already started to see cancellations. I know Manitoba hasn't been as hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic as other jurisdictions, and yet there have already been canceled shows. I'm thinking of WSO partners like Manitoba Opera and Royal Winnipeg Ballet, of which you are principal conductor. So with all of the uncertainty that's going on coming into the new season, how did you guys go about programming for what was to come?
Well, honestly, nobody knows really what's to come, but we have to do some planning. And I think that as far as performing organizations are concerned, organization like the Winnipeg Symphony, an organization of musicians, is maybe positioned slightly better to present something than some others. For example, I mean, it's very difficult for dancers and actors to do their work if they can't be in close quarters. Doesn't mean that those organizations like MTC and RWB might not come up with some solution. I'm just saying that from our point of view, just having musicians on stage, there's been quite a lot of research in our field to figure out what's possible, what's safe, and what can you do with the space and the venue that you're dealing with, or the venues that you have available to you in your city. And from chamber music to mid-size ensembles to a kind of small orchestra, we figure that with all the information that's out there, we're optimistic that we will be able to present something for our patrons and for our city. Of course, that just depends on what happens, and we'll have to see about that, but we'd like to keep a sense of optimism in that regard.
So with that optimistic spirit, I'm curious, what does a socially distant orchestra look like? Do you know yet?
Well, I can tell you one of the things, I mean, aside from all these digital projects and other ways of connecting behind the scenes, we've been contingency planning upon contingency planning. So we probably have, I don't know, 10 to 15 different mock-up stage plots for Centennial Concert Hall and the pit for any possible situation, for all kinds of configurations of orchestras. Research coming out of Germany and Japan suggests that around string players, you need to keep, I think, 1 meter, but wind players need 2 meters. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the flute is more treacherous than any other instrument because of the spray of saliva that comes off of the head joint, so they need a bit extra. I mean, yeah, but anyway, these are the kind of things that we're dealing with, and that to be perfectly honest, I mean, I'm being a little light with it, but these are very important because we're not just thinking about our patrons, which are of course are important, our audience, but our musicians as well. We want to keep our musicians safe, our staff safe, our audience safe, and all of, whether you're in the audience, on stage, or backstage. We have tried to figure out some kind of a plot that, or a scenario that could work in almost any situation. And of course, we're waiting to see what that situation will be.
Yeah, and that's just it, right? You speak to keeping everybody safe and making sure that everybody is doing their part to really minimize that spread. And if all continues as it is, then we can be optimistic. And I know that in the press release yesterday, there was a talk of even how the audience is going to be sitting in the Centennial Concert Hall to make sure that social distancing guidelines are going to be followed. So there's lots to speak to that way. One thing that I do kind of want to finish with is the idea of what music can we expect to hear from the Centennial Concert Hall? And can you speak a little bit to being able to feature some of the WSO's own in concert? I mean, we're so treated to international talent, but to really turn the spotlight on the local players, that's beyond a silver lining. That's just exciting.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, this is a season that we've wanted to explore more of in general. So we're thinking of, I mean, that it's really a great opportunity to highlight the incredible talent we have in our orchestra and in our city. Been lucky to work with Daniel Reiskin and on this upcoming season to help put it together. And yeah, I mean, it's great to feature our orchestra members throughout our season in many, many ways. I mean, we tried to take the original season, and I think it was stated in our press release and in our letter that many of those artists who we do bring in every year from around the world are being rescheduled to the next season because we'd really love to bring them. That's why we wanted to have them here in the first place. Of course, this year it's not possible, but we'll have them next year. But this year, to try and keep the spirit and the essence of each one of those musical programs alive, but maybe with different pieces that we felt would be more appropriate for an orchestra that we could fit socially distanced on our stage, which is 40 musicians or less. That's really the maximum of number of players that we can fit on the stage. There are certain works that have not been heard in Winnipeg for decades or ever before for this configuration, because we're often playing to large works with choirs that are great to present on our stage, but now we have a chance to explore maybe some of the smaller works by Dvorak and Beethoven and other composers from around the world in different genres, and many composers living today as well. You can go through, of course, we're going to be presenting many of our own players, like Gwen Hobig in our first concert, Steve Dyer. I'll have the pleasure of doing the Nino Rota trombone concerto with Steve on the Masterworks concert that I'll be conducting on the weekend of October 31st. Sonia Shklarov, who's going to be of our violin section, who's going to be playing with the orchestra. Jeremy Buzash and Carl Stobie, who are well known to our audiences. Patty Evans, our principal horn, is going to be performing solo. Yuri Hooker as well. Jan Kochman and Alice Conway, our flute duo of our flute section, will join forces in one concert. Our trumpet section will be featured on one concert. Chris Fenson, Paul Jeffrey, Isaac Pulford, all incredible trumpet players. When was the last time? Well, when was the time that we had ever heard them in front of the orchestra? I can't be more excited for that opportunity. And you probably noticed also that our amazing assistant conductor, Naomi Wu, is going to conduct from the keyboard in one of our Masterworks program. And she is an absolutely fantastic pianist. So that is definitely something to look forward to as well. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell I'm excited about all this, but it's great.
Infectious, Julian. It's completely infectious. I don't know how I'm going to wipe the smile off my face. It is some welcome news in definitely these uncertain times. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us at Classic 107 today. It's been great seeing you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. It's been a while, but
it has been a while. But hopefully it will be soon. You can find more information on WSO Recomposed, the 2020-2021 Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra concert season on the website, classic107.com.